Hello and welcome to the first ever edition of TimeShift, a new YouTube series that I am making where I interview Magic celebrities and we watch a old match that means a lot to them, or maybe a couple old matches, and talk to them about the decks they played, the tournament itself, the format, and the times. The times are the most important thing. That's the whole point of Magic, is the gathering. I'm Todd Anderson, aka Tandy, and today I'm joined by Mr. Joe Lossett. How's it going, Joe?
Dude, it is going well. I am in a good mood, and why wouldn't I be? About to watch myself kick some ass.
So today we're going to be watching the 2016 Players Championship that Joe Lossett took down. We're going to start with the semifinals where he played against me, and we'll see who wins. I don't know who wins.
Sharp jackets.
Yeah, I love the Players Championships jackets. That year they were like really snug fitting, and I was so used to wearing like baggy jackets or whatever, but these were like a nice change of pace.
Yeah, no, I really liked them. There was a kind of a cool gift every year, and this one was definitely the best one out of all of them.
Yeah. This event you won. It was 3 formats. It was standard, modern, and legacy. And for the people at home, can you just give a quick rundown of your 3 decks and what they tried to do? Because we're going to be watching all 3 on camera, I believe.
Yeah, we are. Okay, so in legacy, I was playing my own Legend Miracles deck, which, if you're familiar with that era, then you already know. And if you're not, it was basically a counterbalance Divine Top Control deck with what set it apart was the fact that I was playing a whole heap of creatures in the main deck. Well, a heap being 8, which was way more than anyone would have expected at the time period. And then in Modern, I was playing Tron, splashing black to help out against aggressive decks, which was my hopefully clever and maybe a little silly idea to try and bail me out of some bad matchups. And in Standard, what we're going to watch here, I was playing the red-green energy deck, splashing some blue in the sideboard for all the Ironworks decks that was just running over the format at the time.
Yeah, so Electrostatic Pummeler, 3-mana artifact creature, you can spend some energy and it basically doubles in size. And so if you have enough energy, you can make a real big guy real fast, and then you give it trample with something and just kill your opponent in one big shot. So that was really good in a format that wasn't that interactive, and cards like Blossoming Defense had just come out and were excellent in that deck and at protecting it. So we're going to see all that here. So let's go ahead and start the match. Teamer energy for you. I'm on Golgari Aggro, aka Green-Black Aggro. I don't think Golgari... Oh, no, Golgari existed at the time. We just didn't name decks like that back then, I guess.
Yeah, well, you can see on the chart, they have the whatever Teamer for mine, but for yours, just Green-Black. But yeah, anyway, so this matchup, so for people at home, so we had played each other the night before.
Yeah.
Same matchup. With hidden deck lists, but here we're playing with deck lists revealed, and I smashed you the first time around, which I think I did to a lot of people with this deck when you don't know what you're up against, because it is a fast attacking deck, and if you're not have that in mind, then you can get caught off guard.
Yeah. So here we're starting off with Voltaic Brawler. This was one that didn't actually see a ton of play in Standard, even though it was an energy generator. This was more like the aggressively slanted energy stuff, and I think over time people realized that energy was much better as like a mid-range deck. We saw your Rogue Refiners and Whirler Virtuosos, and even Aetherworks Marvel. Like those were the cards that were seeing the most play. But your take here was really good. I remember like Voltaic Brawler really impressed me when you were beating my face in with it.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I mean, a lot of these draws, I'm hoping for, Pummeler, Bristling Hydra, but like we see here, I mean, this 2 Voltaic Brawlers it adds up fast.
I love how we had like 2 drastically different takes on aggro decks for attacking this format. Yours being the more combo centric with Pummeler, mine being a little more interactive. I'm playing like Grasp of Darkness. I got. Did you have Smuggler's Copter in your deck? I can't remember.
No, I didn't. But
wow.
I'll tell you what though. So because we had open decks, you don't have Grasp of Darkness in your deck. I don't think you only have Deadweight, which.
I definitely Grasp of Darkness Kevin Jones a minute ago.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't remember you having that, but I remember you having Deadweights in your deck. And that's for people who don't remember, that's an enchantment speed removal spell, which is, that's great and everything, but Blossoming Defense is just always going to be ready for that. This is, and with all the pump spells, it's just, I just need one window to finish things off, as we're about to see, I believe.
Yeah, so here I attacked in with the Grim Flare. I really wanted you to trade because I can't block, right? Like
Yeah,
I
right.
can't
Yeah.
block. So my goal here is to like turn on Delirium, hope that I have some sort of removal spell if you go for the combo turn. But even if you don't go for combo, that's one of the powerful things about your deck and about Voltaic Brawler. Like you're just clobbering me with these 4/3s that get bigger when they attack, and like I just can't block.
Yeah. So this is I'm using a story about this preparation for this event where I basically played only this deck in the week or two before the event. I didn't bother practicing their decks because I felt comfortable with them.
Yep.
And I thought about making a new Magic Online account with like a different name to try and be like sneaky. And
Yeah.
I didn't do it. I was like, this is too stupid. I'm just not going to do this. And then at the event, Max McVitie and Andrew Jessup both told me, man, it was so silly of you to practice standard on your account. You should have made a different account. I was like, oh man.
That you bring that up. That actually happened a lot during the Pro Tour days. That's like something that Brad did all the time. I bet Brad has like 5 or 6 Magic Online accounts, maybe more. Jerry has a ton, and like whenever they would test whatever for the Pro Tour, they would just literally play on the other accounts so that no one knew exactly what they were playing. And sometimes they did play on the regular accounts, and then everyone knew what they were playing because they were so like famous,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was definitely something that was probably worth doing, and I just didn't bother. Even though it was just even stupid, like not thinking about it, fine, but I thought about it and decided not to. The effort of making a new Magic Online account, like what are we even talking about here? That's like
Yeah.
a minute and a half.
Well, it used to cost $10. I don't know if you remember that. A new account used to cost $10.
I think you got like $10 of tickets or something for doing it.
Yeah, but it still costs $10.
Well, sure, yeah. All right, so let's see. You trade off here, and one brawler continues to smash in, and I think what's coming in here is a robotic Superman here to finish you off.
Oh, don't do it to me, Captain. So, Catacomb Sifter was a pretty cool addition to the deck. So Brad built this Golgari deck the same way he built. He worked on the Death and Taxes deck from the year before. He worked on this deck while we were testing the other formats, and I trusted him because this deck, it looks sweet, and we both did pretty well in standard, but damn if I didn't get just absolutely blasted by this fucking electrostatic pummeler, dude.
Yeah, this guy's a house. You can see there on the screen, it's so with 6 energy in play, it can double twice. But,
Yep.
Okay, so there's your dead weight, and Blossoming Defense counter that.
Yep, and you have 6 here, and what was the name of the pump spell that gave it trample? It was like Ride the Lightning or something. It was like
So there's 2. There's Larger Than Life.
Larger Than Life.
Which was the sorcery speed +4/+4 and trample. And then there's another one that was 3, or let me think. I think it was +2/+1 and trample, and it was red. I don't remember the name of that one.
I don't know. That one wasn't as cool, but it was Larger Than Life was the one that was just like, wow, if he casts Larger Than Life on this electrostatic pummeler, I'm dead. Oh, yeah. Weird, because it's a 5. Well, then it's a 10, then it's a 20, and it has trample. You're at 12 life without a removal spell, you're dead. I even had the removal spell, but Blossoming Defense just killed me.
Yeah, no, it's when the way is clear, there's a lot of ways for this deck to push out a lot of damage. And that was, your deck was not something I was necessarily really expecting to play against.
Yeah.
I was really trying to get ahead of the Ironworks decks, and so a lot of my sideboard is actually splashed counter spells.
Nice. No, I bet those help. I actually thought that your deck choice for standard was genius, man. Like, I remembered back on that tournament, and I'm like, God damn, Joe broke it. And like, Electrostatic Pummeler was around, but it was like a gimmicky deck, and I don't think it was that good against like the blue-white decks. Or there was some reason that it wasn't like widely played. But once we got to like a 16-person tournament where you knew about a quarter or half the players were going to be playing Aetherworks Marvel, and then the rest are going to be trying to metagame to beat Aetherworks Marvel, it just becomes this like kind of wild thing where like you just knife through buttered the whole thing. And even I thought that maybe my deck would be okay against you, right? Because I have Deadweight, I have Grasp of Darkness, and in the sideboard I even had Natural State, and all 3 of those cards can kill Pummeler. But it turns out Pummeler is not the only card that kills you. Like, your whole deck is just a normal aggro deck for the most part. Blossoming Defense is excellent against all those removal spells. And you just saw I had a removal spell and still died. So
Yeah. And I'll tell you what here. I'm not sure I sideboarded against you.
Really?
I don't think I did.
I have Copter in my deck, and you didn't bring in Natural State. I guess that's fair. I
mean, I was really set on being the aggressive in basically every matchup because that's how my deck was playing and winning. Maybe I did, but looking at the sideboard that I'm seeing on the screen here, I don't know that I would have boarded any of this stuff against you.
Oh, that's fair. I had like Grim Flares. Bombardment can be okay, but I think you're right. I don't think you need it. All right, I'm gonna look at the rest. You have Tears of Valakut. What's Tears of Valakut do? Do you remember?
I think it shoots blue creatures, or let me look it up.
Is it like 2 mana, deal 5 to a blue creature, can't be countered, or something like that?
It's
like Combust, I think. But
no, okay, no, yeah, it's actually it's can't be countered 5 damage to a flyer.
Oh, okay. What was the? I guess Archangel Avacyn was pretty good.
Yeah, probably that one. Yeah, that's a big one. And that, yeah, because that was the one when it turned over, it like dealt 3 damage to the board, right?
Yeah.
Which, like, conveniently doesn't target anything and blows away everything in my deck. And it had flash. Yeah, that card was good.
Yeah. Man. All right, well, we're here on game 2. I got to be on the play. Let's see if I can take it down. I remember this game fondly. I do something in this game that impressed me. Like, I was like, wow, I can't believe I found that. And like,
all right. Oh, I'm excited to see it. I know the result of this game, but I don't know what play you're talking about. So let's see what happens here.
All right.
I'm an interested observer. I know these Grim Flares, getting hit by Grim Flares suck. It's just like
you think that sucks? Try getting hit by a 2020 electrostatic pummeler, Joe.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, that's pretty good too. But like, incremental advantages are so awesome. And like, you can't like revel in the glory of electrostatic pummeler because the opponent just dies and you go to the next game. But your hit here, you get to just like celebrate this little advantage, and then it just builds up over time, and it's just you feel good about it.
Yeah, I think it would be cool if Grim Flare just milled 3 cards. I think it's kind of dumb that it puts it back, if you ask me.
Oh, okay, so that you instead of it's surveilling, even though they didn't call it that then.
Oh, that's true.
Right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and yeah, you just want to mill, sure.
So this is one of the most aggressive starts that my deck can have because I only had a few 1-drops with the Gnarlwood Dryad, but Grim Flare was one of the only 2-drops I had other than Smuggler's Copter. So like, this is how I beat you, right? I have to go under you. I have to really hammer you with these early creatures, and Delirium was a huge part of that.
Yeah, no, I believe that, and those Grim Flares just get going so fast, and it's just like, yeah, this is. I mean, I'm the aggressive deck here. How do you have 4 things on the board and I only have 1?
Yeah, no kidding. Well, you started with a Game Trail, and as we all know, the Game Trail lands were horrible.
Yeah. These mana bases were not perfect. Yeah, you'll notice I had an island in the sideboard. That's I mean, that's for the counters, but still, yeah, the mana bases needed some help. I don't remember that was Attune with Ether. God, that card was so crucial.
Yeah, I mean they banned it, so it was pretty crucial.
Yeah, I mean that's so. How wild is that looking back? Like a 1 mana, just search a land. It doesn't even go into play. It just goes in your hand. That got banned.
Did you see what I just did to you? I natural stated my old Smuggler's Copter to get Delirium because I needed to hit you for a ton of damage. You were so far behind, you were going to trade a Servant of the Conduit against me, and I killed my own Smuggler's Copter. That's the play I made. I saw it, and I don't know if you noticed this. Whenever you're playing on Magic Online, do you ever like take all your actions, hit F6, and then attack? Like, do you ever do that?
Not often, not unless I'm running out of time.
I do it a lot, right? I use it. I am an F6 enthusiast, and so what I did is I went play Copter, play my land tapped, turn on all my creatures sideways because I knew if you blocked, it was trading. Every creature was trading, so I made it seem like everything was okay to trade. And when you blocked, I was so ecstatic because I knew that like you needed that mana. You had stumbled so much early in the game, and my creatures were all just getting in there, right? And just like so like I was kind of like, it wasn't shields down, and it's not that impressive. Like I was winning by miles, right? And I think even if I don't play the natural state, I'm still winning. But like when I did that, I was just like, I am so fucking on fire. Like I was playing, I've been watching a bunch of matches from this event, and I played really good in like a lot of spots. So
yeah, no, that is cool. That is a good play. That's a nice one.
it
That's
looked it looked horrible, right? But I knew it was the right play too.
yeah, no, and it's like having extra cards in hand doesn't matter. Getting ahead
Right.
on the board what matters, and you kill my mana guy, and that's good. I haven't done anything else, so clearly it's important to me. Yeah, no, that's nice.
All right.
It is cool looking back and seeing some of these old plays and seeing this nifty stuff that we used to try to outmaneuver each other. And this was really like, I mean, this was like this event. Like I don't remember how much time we had by the time after the field locked and before the event started, whether it was 2 weeks or a month. I don't remember, but I think probably most or all of everybody put in quite a bit of work getting ready for this. I knew my decks were all like had time and practice into them. I'm sure it's the same for you guys.
It was so hard to test for all three formats, man. Like what we did every year basically is we each like picked a format where we were not going to work on it, and we were just going to either trust somebody else to do it, or we had a deck locked in because we'd played it a million times, and we were just going to like change a few cards here and there. Tom and I, we worked together for 2 of the Players Championships, and or maybe it was just one of the Players Championships, but we worked together on the SCG tour all the time, and he always had like his aggro deck in the back pocket, or he always had Infect in Modern or in Legacy, and so I knew that like if he was going to play one of those decks, I could also play one of those decks because we often shared archetypes and played the same decks at events, and so if he thought it was good, we just leaned in on it. And for this Golgari deck, I think I maybe played 5 matches before the event because I was so focused on Modern and Legacy, and my standard deck I just trusted Brad. So
I mean, you seem pretty confident though. I'm surprised to hear you say that because you seem like, I mean, I know you generally play pretty quickly when you know what you're doing, and you play quickly with this deck, so I assume you had quite a bit of experience with it.
I was on the other side when Brad played Golgari a bunch, and I played every other deck against him.
Sure.
So I knew the lines, and it's a mid-range deck. Like it's turn 2. Oh, do you want to play 2 spells next turn? You play Servant of the Conduit. Oh, do you not have, do you play Copter? You always play Copter first. And, you always play Grim Flayer if you have it, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. All right, so here we go in this game, and this game takes a little while longer than the other two. And here's my super lethal Pummeler here, which I'm too afraid to actually commit on because I mean, whoever wins this game is going to the finals.
Yeah.
And I felt like, I know at this point that the other semifinal match is Caleb Scherer and Jacob Baugh.
Yeah.
I'm favored in all 3 formats against both of them.
Nice.
So I feel like if I can get past you, I have a real good chance of winning the event. And so I don't know if that contributed. I don't remember my mindset exactly in this game, but I was nervous about your stupid natural state out of the sideboard.
You know what I was nervous about? I was nervous that I was going to die to this fucking electrostatic Pummeler because I didn't have a removal spell. I have 3 natural state, 2/3 dead weight, 3 or 4 grasp of darkness, and I just like, I keep a hand that's just like serving the conduit. I have like, a couple blossoming defenses still in my deck because of Harness Lightning. I think you had maybe, and I was just like, okay, I hope he doesn't kill me. I'm just going to play my stuff and hope I don't die. But I tried to leave 1 mana up at all times, right? I'm pretty sure I played. Yeah.
And you do. And I respect it like a chump. But,
that's the thing, because you have blossoming defense, so there's no reason for me to wait on it, right? There's no reason for me to wait because if you have blossoming defense, I die. And so like that's the thing that I had to learn over the course of a long time was that like if your opponent won't have it, most of the time, if they don't main phase it, when you're playing a deck like Infect, when you're playing a deck like Pummeler, and I tried to just bluff it as best I could.
Yeah, no, it works here. I mean, it buys you a lot of time. Actually, the Harness Lightning thing, I actually wasn't playing Harness Lightning. That was McVitie also played a different build of this deck in this event, but he didn't get to play it because he didn't manage to get through the other rounds of the event.
Oh, rip.
Their formats.
Did y'all work together for the event?
No, we did not. But he did have Harness Lightning in his deck. And a lot of people did. And I was just like, no, we're not wasting our time. We're just getting all aggressive. And hopefully it comes together. This was, I mean, the Ironworks decks were just so brutal. And I was like, I can't waste time. Like if I'm on the play going first, I gotta really try and win on turn 4 as much as possible. And then here we go. See, I I try and convince myself that it's reasonable to be cautious here because I'm not exactly like getting beat down, and I have other creatures. And if I draw Blossoming Defense at any point, then I'll just win.
Yep.
But really, like you were saying, I probably should have just recognized the fact that if you have natural state, maybe you just fired it off when I was tapped out, and then just ignored it, and I would have won the game, this turn. And I didn't do that.
All right, well, this is the other half of your deck that was hard to beat for me. It was Bristling Hydra. So Bristling Hydra, 4 mana, I think it's a 4/3. When it enters play, you get 3 energy, and then you can spend 3 energy to give it +1/+1 counter and hexproof until end of turn. And that card was like the complete opposite of Electrostatic Pummeler, so I could come fully prepared with a ton of interaction to beat Pummeler, and then you could just play Bristling Hydra and kind of pivot to this more of like mid-range, this guy. I mean, and I'm pretty sure you won multiple games over the course of the event with Bristling Hydra. Like I remember you, like I think one game you larger than life did like another pump spell and hit somebody for like 15. It was just sick.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't explode like Pummeler for 50, but it is hard to deal with, and it's so safe. And there's like enough trample in the deck that I don't need to do it all at once. And then there was another card, I think it was called Uncaged Fury, which was red and gave double strike. And so that like you can't really just not chump the Hydra because you can get blown up by that thing too. So here you go unloading onto the board.
Yeah, but guess what? I still have 1 mana untapped.
Yeah, I know, and I respect it again. It's just awful. I've seen this match. I mean, I haven't watched this in a long time, but I have seen this a few times, and it's just like, just do it, man. Come on. And I don't.
Well, there's there's something to be said from my side though. Like if I have just one piece of interaction, just one natural state, like you could just play a backup Pummeler if I kill it, and then I may be dead to that one. But if you spend a whole turn pumping it, like, and I get to kill it for 1 mana, I put you in like a tempo black hole.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I have this Gnarlwood Dryad. I think I actually fucked up. I think playing the Gnarlwood Dryad eventually makes it so that you have to go for it, because I can't the Bristling Hydra is going to kill me.
Yeah. So what actually happens is, I'm just waiting to draw Blossoming Defense, which for anybody who's watching that's not familiar with the cards, that gives hexproof to counter a potential natural state or whatever other rule spell. So Rush of Adrenaline. I got the name wrong. But there's the other trample card. But I'm just waiting to either draw something that makes Bristling Hydra like unbeatable or a Blossoming Defense. And then after holding up a green mana for 2 turns in a row, I think you decide, okay, he obviously doesn't have it, and you go ahead and tap out. And then that's when the game ends. But yeah, you're right. I mean, we would have got to a point where I had to just cross my fingers and go for it. But I'm sitting here at 18 life. We're not at that point yet, and I'm still putting stuff on the board, even though you're developing also, and you have your Death Touch guy and your Sacrifice to Scry stuff. Yeah, that Catacomb Sifter was kind of a nuisance. That was a cool card.
Yeah. For those following along at home, I know that the battlefields look like they're pretty static, pretty even Stevens. But Joe has 14 energy. And energy was this mechanic that Mark Rosewater thought would be fun to implement, where it was basically just an extra resource that you got, and they made a whole lot of creatures that got to spend energy to do cool little abilities. And if you've ever seen an Electrostatic Pummeler on the battlefield with someone that has more than 6 energy, it's one of the most terrifying feelings, because you know that at any point they can play a pump spell and kill you if you don't have the removal spell for the Pummeler, and sometimes even if you do have the removal spell for the Pummeler. So like, it looks like we're at parity, and I know that I'm on the brink of death at all times. And I think at some point I'm just like, well, if he had it, he would have killed me. And so I have to develop my board to try to get over your Long Tusk Cub, your Bristling Hydra, and then like, I think it's this turn. I think I literally just like tap out for a Verdre's Gearhulk or something. So
yeah, you put a bunch of stuff on the board this turn, and I'm sure you're thinking about like, do I keep holding up mana, or do I just, because like that Brawler is a decent attacker on its own, and Long Tusk Cub you're probably gonna want to block, and then you'll start losing some of your board, so you just want to explode onto the board, and if I don't have it, you may as well push the win.
Yeah.
and then it turns out I have it.
Well, it's hard not to. I
And,
mean, you have
yeah.
like 6 to 8 spells in your deck that combo with it or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
kind of its own combo too. All you need to do is give it trample, right? If there was just like Crash Through in this format, I think you might have been playing Crash Through because it's 1 red cycle, right? It just gives it trample.
Yeah, that's possible. If if that had been in here, maybe so. So here's all your mana, and I'm just like, oh, just don't leave one untapped. Just don't leave one. I don't care what you play. I have 1,000 damage.
Yeah.
And like I don't have the I can't hear the commentary, but I remember I think is it, I don't know if you can hear it, but if it's Matthias Hunt and Overturf, I think they both have their like, oh, that was in game 1. They both have their go-to line they want to use for like when Pummeler goes nuts and does 1 million damage, and they interrupt each other, both trying to get their line in, which I really kick out of.
That's funny.
But yeah, so I think you have 4 land in the 2. And I'm like looking over, I'm like, hey, did he tap out? Wait, did you tap out?
Wait, did you tap out?
Wait,
are you tapped out?
Look at the life total. Are you at less than 100?
What was I don't remember what the actual count was. We'll get a final count here in a second, but I remember thinking like I think I got dealt 100 damage. I think you dealt me over 100 damage.
It's yeah, so there's another Hydra. Here is the rush thing. So Pummeler is now 3 power.
Yeah. And so it's,
like, no, so it's I have 5 doubles. I have 5 doubles. So 3, 6, 12, 24. It's 96.
96 damage. Yeah. I had some block. I had some blockers. I was only taking 75.
Yeah.
Taking 75. All right. So easily defeated.
It was close. Yeah. Combat math unrequired, but close one.
Yeah. Very close match. Except I made the mistake of tapping out.
Yeah, well, that might have been the turn I had to go for it anyway. But
sure.
Okay, so here we go. So for people watching, the final structure was best of 3 matches of the 3 formats. So Caleb and I sitting down here, I'm the higher seed, and so I choose to go first. And that's kind of the trip up in all these things where it's like best of formats or whatever, is whoever's going first is just going to choose to go first anyway.
Yep. No, I hated that. The previous year with Jim, like it was like, okay, you're higher seed, Todd, you choose player draw, and I'm like, well, I'll choose play or format, and then Jim gets to choose player draw, and I'm like, I'm not giving him the play, but then I was like, I'll choose play, and he's like, okay, you can play Jeskai Black on the play, haha. I was like, all right, great, cool advantage I get for being first seed versus 12th seed. Are you kidding?
It does actually matter here, as like I choose to go first, obviously, and I think. Patrick Sullivan expressed this on the coverage leading into the match, that Caleb probably should have chose Modern, because that is probably the match out of the 3 where you have the least disadvantage not being first, because if he has an explosive draw, he can just get around the Tron deck.
Yeah.
And if I stumble, then he'll just get it. Whereas here, if I get ahead of him with countertop or whatever, then he's kind of stuck. I think Caleb, not just today in this tournament, but always, I think he overestimated his abilities with Storm to beat a good Miracles player.
Well, I mean, look, Joe, I think you're maybe a little biased because you were maybe the best Miracles player that ever lived, except maybe that I know that who was the guy who was really good from Europe who got like second at the Grand Prix or third?
Philip Schoeniger. Philip Schoeniger was the European equivalent, and his builds were really good, and his lists were much tighter than mine because he didn't have I think it's, looking back, I think it's fair to say that my build was better against some matchups and it was better in the mirror, but his deck was much tighter overall.
Yeah.
And
all right, real talk though, Joe.
Yeah.
How fondly do you think about Sensei's Divining Top? Like, are y'all like this? Are y'all like close? You know, would Sensei Divining Top be the best man at your wedding?
I don't know, man. Like Divining Top and I go way back, but
did you get shivers? Did you get shivers when you put it on the table just then?
If I have to choose a card from this deck to ride with, it's going to be Venser. Venser's
really?
My boy, because Divine Top was always running around behind my back being in other people's decks.
Okay.
Venser was loyal. It never strayed.
Well, Caleb here with a dress. This is a pretty good start. You know, he's being a little disruptive. The Chrome Moxes, they weren't like
Yeah,
the Chrome
I
Moxes
know.
were cool in those decks. You know.
Yeah, but that jumped out at me too. It was like, yeah, he was playing Chromox. He was really trying to go fast
Yeah.
because I don't think a bunch of maybe they were. I don't remember. I don't know that a bunch of Chromoxes was super popular. And I kept a one land hand here.
Oh, you drew a second land like a
Yeah, I
lucker.
did.
Lucky
I don't even know.
lucker.
I don't know if I was on 6 or not, but that was a one land hand.
Well, it didn't seem like
I
you have too
guess.
many cards in hand, so I think you were on 6. And I
Yeah,
think you scried a
yeah.
land to the top
So
too,
I was
because you
just
drew that pretty
yeah.
confidently.
I was just gonna say, I think this. Yeah, I did draw it like I knew it was there, but I guess this was the scry era. Yeah.
All right, Lion's Eye Diamond. Caleb might be going for it. This might be a you have to dig to look. A passing
Yeah,
of the
this was
turn?
this was Caleb
Oh man, all
not
the
having a
time.
lot to do, and like, I mean, I don't know that you gain a lot from opponent's body language or mood, but I feel like my impression at the time was Caleb's kind of just overall demeanor got grumpier and grumpier as this match went along.
Well, he's playing a combo deck. He doesn't really have a lot of decisions until he has
Yeah.
the win. Like his
Yeah.
hand is literally just 2 mana pieces. You know, like he has no decisions to make. And I understand what you're saying, and that happens. I could do that all the time. Like you could just see the. You know, their face drops, or like, you know, they frown at a draw step, and like that type of thing was just so valuable in live play.
Yeah. And I'm actually like a little worried here because I have that spell snare that he saw, but until this Force of Will comes, I didn't have anything else. And still, if he like,
yeah, of course,
you know, he
you
knows about the
expected to be
snare.
dead. I think I expected you to be dead.
Yeah. If he Cabal Therapies for spell snare here, I'm screwed because that's my only blue card also. So like Force won't help. And then now that we get to, and this is just somewhat outside the norm, be able to make 5 land drops without having to defend myself. So now this Force on top of the deck can just flip off and be hard cast. So I don't actually want to draw it, I don't think.
This is a crazy
like,
fail rate, man. This is sick for Storm.
Look what he's doing. He's not doing anything.
Yep. Literally drew lands and rituals for like 5 straight turns. Finally draws a preordain. Let's see if he can put up a little bit of a fight. Hell, I remember playing against Caleb playing Storm, and I was always terrified. Like, I would like mulligan to Force of Will and just like hope they don't have a Thoughtseize, and like sometimes it just didn't matter. Like no matter what, your hand was getting destroyed, and then they were playing an ad nauseum, and there was nothing you could do about it.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if you would remember this or haven't been aware at the time, but this was back in this was pre-Force of Will era for me, which that was a long era. Yeah, but I wasn't even playing 4. Spell snares, help bail out, and like we saw, and I have one, although I have a Force also, so I got really the best of all worlds. And then really you're relying a lot on counterbalance, which obviously we don't see, but
no, but if you ever find it, the game ends, right? Like Storm can't really bust up countertop.
That's interesting here because Caleb just drew a Brainstorm, and he has a fetch land on the board and mana, and doesn't play it here, which is.
Maybe he just has a little too much mana and he wants to make sure that like he can dig 1 deeper, but I agree. Yeah. I think he maybe should have gone for it.
Yeah, that's. I'm not saying that it's a misplay. I mean, I don't know, but it's if right now if I'm in those shoes, I'm like, oh, I gotta clean this up, or maybe he definitely played a lot of mana on the board here too.
Yeah, him playing the 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds when he did. They made some sense because if you just slam counterbalance and like you could maybe blind flip a land pretty easily to counter them.
Yeah.
And it's not that hard to hit a Storm count of 10, so it makes sense. But you have to imagine like the turn he goes LED, you're like, oh shit. And then he just passes turn and then like, oh, you're fine. Like you know that there's no threat of death for at least a turn, and you have the time to find the Force of Will, which you did. And then like at that point, he needs a discard spell plus the ability to go off. So
yeah, he needs a lot here, and I think he found the tendrils there, but like he's got like 1 duress in the graveyard. I don't know how many discard spells he has in the main deck. It's probably like half a dozen or more, but he's probably thinking he needs to find another one before he tries anything here. And it's just, but he knows, and I know that I'm just, now that I have a fetch land on the board, I'm just digging for counterbalance, and when it lands, this is game 1, he's in trouble.
Yeah.
So he can't take too long.
This type of matchup, Miracles vs. Storm, I'm sure you're overly familiar with how it played out. And I would assume that the Storm deck was very unfavored. I think the card counterbalance, just cast alone with no Sensei Divine Top in play, sometimes won the game on its own.
Yeah, sure. Because I mean, if you flip zero, if the random card on top of your deck is a 0, 1, or a 2, like in all of those could be significantly disruptive to what he's got going on. And it's not like he gets I mean, you get to the spot where you're running out test spells to see what's on top of the deck, and then it's just it gets frustrating from the storm side. I know. So here's cashing in one of the tops, or I don't remember. I think that was a force will probably that I just
you drew the force, put the top back, and then now you're looking for counterbalance. And I think at this point you're feeling pretty safe because you know that like he didn't kill you when he had the big burst of mana. He has enough mana, and mana was usually the bottleneck for them. They would spin and ponder and preordain, and they would just look for rituals and LEDs. And he has rituals and LEDs, but doesn't have the payoff. Didn't have the tutor.
Yeah. All right, so we saw there. I think it was 2 ponders in a terminus, which I don't know. I don't remember if he had Empty the Warren's main deck or not. But that would be the only use for terminus. Yeah.
Yeah, you had a lot of dead cards actually in the matchup just because the nature of Storm.
Yeah. No, I did, but that's how. I mean, I have plenty of dead cards, but I also have just unbelievable cards, and it's just a matter of sifting through and finding the right ones. And with how long this game is taking, I just have time to find the right stuff, even though I still haven't done it.
Yeah. And now I have a bunch when you say cards. How long it's taking, and this is not like a time thing, this is a turns thing. Legacy, Storm, the longer you gave them to win the game without a lock piece, the harder it was to actually do anything.
All right, so here comes Snapcaster Mage, which is the creature that most people were playing in the deck in some numbers. Shoninger was playing. Everyone was playing Snapcaster Mage. It's just obviously it's super good.
Yeah.
Although not normally ideally played sorcery speed, but whatever.
I played Miracles in a tournament one time, and I played it online a little bit for testing, but I didn't ever play it in real life except for one event. I borrowed it from Chi Hoi Yim to play in the Sunday Legacy Classic after I was 0-1 in the modern event. The modern event was 9 rounds, and I lost round 1. I'm like, I don't want to do this, and I needed to borrow a Legacy deck. I didn't bring one, and I went to Chi-Hoi, and he's just like, yeah, you can borrow it. And so I just played it dry, and I started with a loss because I was late registering because I had played the other event. And I just rattled off 6 straight wins, made top 8. Actually, I think I even made top 4. And that amount of points actually put me into the Players' Championship.
Really?
So I have fun. Wow. I think very highly of Miracles.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's because of you, Joe, to be honest. So.
Well, thanks, man. So looking at my sideboard here at this time period, and this was just... I was ready for Eldrazi with the moats and the back to basics, Delver stuff with explosives and blasts. And for Caleb here, I think I probably just brought in 3 Flusterstorms. Good luck. I did 3 Flusterstorms and 2 blasts. That's a lot. And Caleb's got Xanthostorms, which are nice.
No, I think the Xanthostorms actually make you have to keep in some number of Swords of Plowshares, right?
They do. They absolutely do.
Because that card just single-handedly beats you if you don't have top counterbalance in play.
Yeah. So, Antiswarm, for people that don't know, is a 1 green, 0/1 flyer, and whenever it attacks, your opponent can't cast any more spells this turn.
Yep.
So you just lead on that, attack, and then you can have all the force wills you want, and you're not casting any of it. And interesting, Caleb actually has 2 land in the sideboard.
So Bayou and a Tropic Island. So he brings in green for Abrupt Decay and Corrosion Grip, I guess.
And Swarm, yeah. So he's got a lot of green cards. Yeah, a lot of green cards in the sideboard.
I think he heavily valued basic lands back then because Wasteland was so good, and and I think he maybe just swaps them out whenever he brings in the green cards for maybe one of the basics and a Valk or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he also might take out some ritual or Chromox or some excess ritual. I don't know the sideboarding, but
but you can speculate. That's half the fun.
Yeah, I know.
No, the Empty the Warren seems like a cool card to bring in, but that's actually, I had a lot of trouble when I played combo decks like Storm with sideboarding. I don't, I know the cards in my main deck are all important, otherwise I wouldn't be playing them. And so when you board in an alternate package or a card that doesn't function inside your combo, you have to shave things or cut something completely. And I was never able to figure out what to cut when I was playing Storm.
I mean, I think that's true of almost any deck. It's more magnified in combo decks when you pick them up
Yeah.
and you don't know what you're doing. It's like, well, if you can process like the basic win condition, but then how do you dilute it into sideboard games without crippling yourself and accidentally, boarding too low? I mean, it's a tough balance, and that's where experience matters, and where Caleb is going to know where we're guessing and we're not. If we were playing in his spot, we'd be guessing, and he knows what he wants to do. I'm sure.
Right. Yeah, he played that deck so much. I mean, Caleb is to Storm as you are to Miracles, I think, especially with people who were fans of the SCG Tour. Oh, wow, look at that handsome feller.
Yeah, better believe it, man. Look at that. 5. I never won another Open after that year.
I don't think I haven't won an Open in a long time. I think I won I think my last win was like Columbus 2017 with Infect or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, so I haven't won one, and look at those 5 draws. Got to sneak in 5 draws. Why not? That's all I matches.
They actually didn't. Most of those actually came in. I think you had 2 draws in Denver, right? In the SCG Denver.
I don't remember, but that's possible. Certainly.
That fucking Bring to Light deck. We were watching that tournament last night. So
yeah, that Bring to Light deck was sick. I remember. I think Jerry Thompson either posted a list or played it in an event at the beginning of like the format, and then I think he just wrote an article about it. And then at the first Open that I went to, he was playing it, I was playing it, and this guy Kent Ketter was playing it. And all of us had like different versions, and I was the only one that played the deck at more than one of it. Everyone else was like, "Yeah, I'm giving up. I'm done with this." And I played it for the whole season.
You were playing Bring to Light, and like your main target was just another Siege Rhino, right? Like it was just more Siege Rhinos. I remember.
Yeah,
but
it was.
It gave you like a cool little tutor package though, which I liked.
Yeah, it did. Like it had that. The Silmgar's Command was the real nice one. That was a cool card.
That's sick nasty. That card was so underplayed for how versatile it was, but it was very expensive.
It was 5 mana, so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a cool deck. All right, so we are in game 2, and I didn't have an eye on the mulligans. I don't know what we're on hand size, but
I think both 7, but he's struggling a little. He's like he shuffled on his first ponder. I think he needed mana, and he finally found a land on his second ponder.
Yeah, well, he's got the Xanthid Swarm there.
Ooh.
Which, so that's like we were talking. Like you were just talking about how not knowing exactly how to sideboard when you're picking up a deck. So like same for in the Miracle spot. I think for an inexperienced player in this matchup, it'd be very easy to be like, oh, well, I don't need my removal, and then you get smashed by a Xanthid Swarm. So, I mean, once that's happened, there's so many things in Magic. I feel like, or maybe in life too, but certainly in Magic, where it's like something happens once, and you're like, oh, well, I need to remember that for the future.
Yeah.
But the first time it happens,
that's evolution, baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get bit by a tiger. Like you don't want to get bit by a tiger ever again. You do everything in your power to not get bit by that tiger, baby.
Yeah, that's right. So Xanthid Swarm, Swords of Plowshares, you're out of here. And I'm sure Caleb's just falls a little in his chair at that. I was like, dang it.
Yeah, that was his ace in the hole, and you had one of your swords. Like that's also another thing about open deck lists is that it's coming. Yeah. And I think Caleb probably got a lot of wins with hidden deck lists where like the control players all side out their Swords of Plowshares, and then he just goes, okay, turn 1 Xanthid Swarm, turn 2 kill you, and that that's just sick. Oh, a second Xanthid Swarm though. Wow.
You better believe it.
Wow.
I don't actually remember the details of this game. So second Xanthid Swarm here. I don't have. Okay, if I had second swords here, that would be so unreasonable.
All right. What is your opinion in regards to all-time great removal spells? What is your opinion of Swords to Plowshares? Do you think it's number 1?
Are we talking about targeted removal spells? I think.
Yeah, just target. The generics, like your Fatal Pushes, your Swords to Plowshares.
Bolt, Fatal Push, Decay. I mean, Swords is probably number one. I mean, it's
They really don't want to reprint it. I know that.
no, yeah.
I would have loved it to be in like standard one more time or whatever,
Sure.
just to see.
Yeah.
White has struggled a lot over the last decade, as far as playability and standards concerned.
Prismatic ending though, man,
that
that card
card's
is
good.
so strong. Yeah.
That might be better than Plow, honestly. It's so good.
I mean, I think in like current day Modern, if you had the choice, I think you might play Prismatic Ending over Sword. I mean, I don't know if I can really say that, but you'd at least think about it.
Yeah, I mean, it answers so many weird things, right? That you just wouldn't normally be able to answer. Oh, wow. Yeah. So you don't have the second Swords of Plowshares for the Xanoswarm, but you do have a counterbalance. This can come down, and then once he attacks with Xanoswarm, you can maybe Brainstorm and put a 1-drop back on top to prevent yourself from getting comboed.
Yeah.
Although maybe it's a 2-drop that goes back on top.
So I think the third card from the bottom is Vendilion Click, maybe.
Oh,
and so
sick.
something I would sometimes try and get away with is, and I'm probably thinking about it right now, because I'm thinking, do I play Counterbalance or not? And I choose not to. Is that you let him attack with Xanadu Swarm because that's the commit to trigger, and then once it's attacking, before the trigger resolves, you play Vendilion Click. Hopefully you can judge their hand enough they can't kill you this turn, and then you get to block and kill the Xanadu Swarm. So, given that I passed the turn here, that's obviously what I'm hoping to do.
Yeah, I think Caleb thinks that he's about to win the game because you did just pass turn with 3 mana. You didn't play Counterbalance. You didn't Swords of Plowshares. He's actually, I think this is heads up from him, though. I think he knows, or he thinks about the click because he digs for a black source so that he can play Abrupt Decay. And I'm pretty sure he brought in Abrupt Decay here, and he's going to try to use it on that click to save his Xanoswarm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Caleb definitely is aware of basically all of my tricks.
Yeah.
Going into this match. I mean, he played, I think during that era, he played in more opens than anybody else. And so he definitely knows what I have access to and what I like to do. And so since I passed, there's a decent chance he actually is able to figure out that I have a Vendilion Click in my hand.
Yeah.
And there it is.
So this is going to come down. You target Caleb. And this is in response to the Xanoswarm trigger. But that Abrupt Decay, it saves the Xanoswarm for next turn, but you're not dead. And I think that's the big thing here is you're not dead.
Yeah. Yeah. And then here, okay, I do remember this. And I'm not sure I actually take anything. Or maybe I take, well, okay,
I was going to say you maybe take Brainstorm.
Well. Yeah, I think maybe I take Brainstorm.
Brainstorm was so fucked up in the Storm decks, to be honest.
Yeah.
They could just turn a hand that was, 3 rituals into like the perfects.
Mm-hmm. But we do know, I do know at this point that if I take nothing, I can't die this turn because without a Lotus Petal, obviously he's not doing anything else.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, taking nothing is fine, right? Like but I don't think any one card off the top kills you with no mana floating. Like even Lotus Petal is just double ritual, no payoff. So
yeah, right. So
you put Cabal on the bottom. You're a madman.
I did not remember that.
Wow.
I did not remember that.
I think because you're going to counterbalance and put a 1 on top. Yeah. Dude, you're so good.
That has to be it, right? There's no way anything else would make sense.
Yeah. He's about to go for it's not going to work, but like if he just draws a land and casts Empty the Warrens to make 2 goblins, he might have killed you. He might have just gotten you with 2 1/1s.
Well, so he doesn't know. So there's explosives in my hand, which I'm aware of, obviously.
Sick.
And so that's going to be, I'm just going to hope to gobble up his entire hand on Empty the Warrens and then explosives away and clean everything up and then just end the game. That's what I'm hoping for at this point.
Yeah, but this Brainstorm makes a lot of sense if you're playing this to just put a 1 on top. Taking the Cabal Ritual makes sense if you want to put the 1 on top. So
and finding a land is nice too. I don't think I had a 4th land before the Brainstorm. And so, of course, they take my time because, boy, do I ever take my time sometimes.
Well, it's on time. This is the finals.
Yeah, I know.
This is the finals.
I know. This is probably the most important match I ever played in my life.
Well, that's why you're on TimeShift.
Yeah.
Because, you know.
Yeah. It's certainly not the most entertaining match I've ever played in my life. I don't even think it's top 5, but it was the highest stakes of any match I ever played. And this was the culmination of like my best, like this year, 2016, I had my first 2 Grand Prix top 8s, and then this event. Like this was a big year for me in Magic. It probably didn't get bigger than this, which was fine because this was a pretty big high. So okay. So we'll finish up this brainstorm here. I must have another brainstorm in my hand because I'm surprised that I.
Well, I think you just shuffled away some dead ones, right?
Yeah.
Like you're still going to play the counterbalance. I think you probably still have another brainstorm. Or you just have the answer for the empty and you think he's just going to go for empty. But either way, like, you need to find an answer to the Xanon Swarm, I think. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well,
that's the GG right there. That's why you went and got... That's why you shuffled away. Because you're killing Xanon Swarm and you have 2 Force Wheels in your hand.
How wild is it that I have counterbalance for 2 turns and I know it's not on the board?
Yeah.
And look, he's got Crows and Grip too. He was ready for it.
Yeah, but this is what we were talking about, you know, like after sideboarding, sometimes you just end up with like way too much chaff. And this is definitely a spot where, like, you know, he has Abrupt Decays and Corrosion Grips and Xanon Swarms, and he just can't kill you. You know, even the shields are not down, like you have Force Will in hand, but like what can you even do?
Yeah.
I would love you so much if you forced that brainstorm there. I would have kissed you.
Patterns, right? Like playing Dark Ritual first and then brainstorm, isn't that odd?
He's debating you. He's trying to get you to bite on it, right? Because he doesn't really want to combo. He doesn't want a mini combo. He wants a big combo.
Maybe he just wants to buy a force and then because there is some cases where you you have to force the ritual because then if you don't, then they follow up with like discard spell afterwards and then take your force and then blow you up. Like that definitely happens. Instead, what I was hoping for was to basically just get everything, and I get everything. I mean, he commits here because it's this spot, and I think he gets to the point where he got enough mana. So I force the will a ritual. He still has enough mana to empty. So he's just like, okay, just throw them all out, make all the tokens I can, and I believe we'll be on to Modern momentarily.
Look, no spoilers. Okay.
Sorry, my bad.
Look, he's going for it, man. And the top card of his deck is a fetch land. So the game is about to be done. You're right. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. Yeah, and like a heap of tokens here, and then a lot of games this would work. What's problematic for him though is like I've got 4 land to play already.
Yeah.
Like and in the last game, I had like 7. Like
it's taking too long.
To be doing. Yeah, this is what he wants to be doing on turn 1 or 2, not turn 4 or 7. And it's just like, oh, dang. I mean, how hard was that?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it wasn't hard at all.
Yeah, no kidding. And also counterbalance. Oh, yeah.
Sure. Good luck.
And he has a Corrosion Grip, 1 card down from that, but he has no cards in hand. What can he even draw at this point?
Yeah.
That's such the thing about Storm it was just always this glass cannon that like one Thalia Guardian of Thraben and the game ended, you know?
See, look, I'm playing fast now. I get this reputation as a slow player. Look how fast that Snapcaster Mage gets in there. No hesitation. It's like Todd Anderson playing. It's like it's dropping.
I was actually playing kind of slow. I was watching my match against KJ earlier, and I was playing slow in that game. I don't know. I was deliberate when it came time to be.
Mm-hmm. All right, Land, we're ready. Oh no, never mind. We got to top first.
Tank. Here you are. Tank. Just kidding.
Look, no, I didn't even fetch. No problem. Draw, bang, get in there.
I love that you just have the backup counterbalance. So now his Corrosion Grip just like has to kill top.
Yeah, that's rough. And there's that Nausea, which is like that's
maybe the best draw possible.
But that Snapcaster Mage just getting in there turn after turn. That's that life total. And I know, obviously, that the life total matters for ad nauseam is the best way to recover.
Yeah,
because there's like these storm decks of back then how they worked was they had kind of like a few different resources they could use to try and beat you. They could try and use just cards in hand, which you do with the Empty the Warrens, and that got blown up. And then they have their graveyard off of Past in Flames.
Yep.
And then the third resource really is their life total with ad nauseum.
Yep.
And so you got to just try and decrease all of those as much as you can, and then eventually they'll break. Which, I mean, yeah, ad nauseum here at 8 life. I mean, I could almost conceivably even let that resolve. Although, who are we kidding? We're not going to, I don't think. But
yeah, I mean, this is also like, I'm pretty sure this is Caleb's end step. So even if the ad nauseum resolves and he draws a bunch of cards, he can't do anything, right? So like he basically can only ad nauseum for 3 life worth of cards. If he goes over that many, he's just dead.
Yeah, it's my little smirk there. I'm like, yeah.
All right, so Joe Lossett's up 1-0 in matches against Caleb Scherer in the finals of the 2016 Players Championship. And we're on to the second match. Joe, this is Modern, right? What were you playing in Modern?
Yeah, so I'm playing Green-Black Tron, which was metagamed to be able to have a better shot against Burn and Infect in game 1. And my 75 is very heavily slant. So basically, I was like, okay.
Is this the one where you main deck Collective Brutality?
Yes.
Wow.
4 of them.
Because Burn was a bad matchup, and you were just like, I'm not losing to Burn. I'm playing Collective Brutality, baby!
Yeah, because, and I was really proud of that. Even though it didn't, I think shortly thereafter, maybe even at the time, it was basic lands were more relevant because of Ghost Quarter Field of Ruin. I don't think Field of Ruin existed yet, but Ghost Quarter obviously did. And so in order to make this work, I think I'm only playing like 1 basic land, which is kind of insane looking back. But against Burn and Infect, so often you lose with like 3 or 4 extra cards in your hand that you just didn't get around to casting because they're so fast.
Yep.
And Collective Brutality, the unique thing of the card is that you can just burn off other cards and get something value out of them. Like, against Burn, if I get to on turn 2, if I get to kill Goblin Guide, duress them, and gain 2 life, does the fact that I have to discard Ulamog matter to me? No, it doesn't, because I wasn't casting it anyway.
Yeah, Tron is usually like an abundance of resources. I remember Tron had like trouble getting empty-handed all the time.
Yeah. So okay, so I'm on 6 here. I mulliganed, but there's 2 Relic of Progenitus main deck. There is 1, and then Caleb just kind of slumps.
Yeah, dude, I would be so pissed off if I was Caleb.
Yeah,
he can't even do the neonate trick because you just eat the Grave Troll in response. Oh wait, no, you can't. Never mind. I'm sorry.
You can. Yeah, he got it. Yeah. So I mean, that's a decent start there. Obviously, second neonate, Dredge. But yeah, just having the relic on the board puts a crimp on what he's able to do over the long run. Like, oh, take 1 card. Yeah, that's definitely a mistake. I should have eaten the creature right away. I don't know if it matters, but it's correct to do that.
Well, the graveyard's not looking that scary right now, but all he needs is like a cathartic reunion type effect, and then he'll really be in business. He found a Faithless Looting, but doesn't have enough mana to do it, and I think it's just time to say go.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Bloodghast I mean, back more salvage and get a Bloodghast, but Caleb is. I mean, he was kind of a little crestfallen when that relic came into play. I mean, it's definitely a good trade for me. And I've Relic and Expedition Map. How many matchups does Tron be like, Expedition Map can wait. Let's get this other card on the board.
Yeah. So Relic of Progenitus gonna chip away at the graveyard. It's threatening to exile the whole thing. So Caleb's not even gonna dredge anymore here, it looks like. He doesn't want to just open himself up to getting blown out, I guess.
Yeah, it's tough. This is a game. What's okay? Looting, sure, but yeah, game. I may have Relic, but that's just the way the Tron decks at the time. This wasn't unusual. Tron decks at the time did generally run a couple Relics main deck.
Yeah, I remember. They shit on my Tarmogoyfs quite a bit.
Yeah. Gotta do something. Can't run removal. What are we talking about here? All right, so Caleb developing the land, but it's like from the Tron seat, like none of this is scary.
Right. Like you can actually just sit on the relic until they have a trigger from Prize Amalgam or something, or Narcomoeba, right?
Yeah, and I just want to really what he has to do, although that Dredge just wasn't good enough, and so he got stuck. But what he has to do is just make me blow the relic and then be able to reload afterwards. And yet he hasn't even been able to make me blow it yet. And I'm actually
You have natural
of course
Tron too, so
I have,
like
yeah, I was like, I have, yeah. So I think actually, so what I'm thinking about here is, do I just
blow
break
and
the
play
relic
Karn.
anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah, because if I tap out for Karn, I can't obviously. You can tap relic to remove one card, but in order to explode everything, yeah, it takes mana. And if I'm going to tap out this turn, then I have to decide whether I'm comfortable with that or not. And obviously,
Mismatched
I
towers,
decided
shake my head.
it's I have there are 12 unique lands for the Urza Tron lands. Of course, I'm playing all 12.
So one thing to note, I think Caleb may have made a mistake last turn. He or maybe he didn't have the third land, but he had a Faithless Looting in his graveyard that he could have maybe flashed back instead of casting the one from hand.
Okay, that's certainly possible. All right, so Karn Plus is here, wipes the card out of his hand, and Caleb's done.
Well, he didn't have any, his hand was just like a bunch of doofuses.
Yeah.
And like nothing to do about it. So Caleb gonna pack it up. I feel like that was kind of a quick concession, but it's Tron, man.
Yeah.
Like you can't
Yeah,
beat a
it
Karn
is.
on 10.
Yeah, but he's also, I mean, he's kind of deflated. His overall mood is pretty negative here. He got stomped in Legacy. Whether he's thinking about it or not, even if he wins this match, he has to win in Standard when I get to go first, which is tough because that Pummeler deck likes to go first. And then you look at the sideboard here. I mean, this isn't even reasonable. 4 Ravenous Traps? Come on.
All right, so you got four Ravenous Trap as your anti-graveyard card, along with your 2 copies of Relic of Progenitus. So he has to actually bring in Thoughtseize against you. Otherwise, the Ravenous Trap is just like, waiting for him to go for it, right?
Yeah.
And so whenever
this is just
yeah,
go ahead.
I would just say, you have the permanent side of it where like he has to deal with like your Relic of Progenitus if it's in play, so he needs Nature's Claims kind of. And then we're getting to the point where he has to start diluting his deck again,
Yeah. Yeah, and this is yeah, you're right. That's exactly right. It's the same as the Storm. You have to dilute your deck to some degree, but you can't take it apart too much or you lose your pressure. And this is, I mean, this is rough. I mean, I feel for him a little bit here, but also, I'm not out here to be lenient. I'm here to stomp him into the ground because I want to win this event. And
yeah, I mean, you said it when we were watching mine and your match. Like you were favored in most of these matches. So
yeah, no, I definitely was. I had on the day 2 of this event, I did not have to play a match where I didn't sit down in the lead. And that was just, some of that is having a deck that lined up well in the metagame, and some of that is just, fortune. If Brad Nelson had won his quarter, I don't remember who he played against, but if he'd made it through, there was some, and not just him, plenty of other people too. There was matchups that I definitely didn't really want to play against.
Yeah.
You both, actually, you and him, because I was happy to play you in the semifinals, but if we played in the finals, I would have had a much more harder time because you were favored in Modern, for sure.
I think we actually played in Modern off camera once, because I remember playing against your Collective Brutalities, because I was playing the
you were playing Death Shadow.
I was playing that Death Shadow deck with the combo.
Yeah, and that's a matchup that I did not want to play, and so I was. But when the way the pairings lined up, I couldn't face that because we played in the top 4. Like, I was lucky that you were on my side of the bracket.
Yeah, for Standard.
Or just for the, so that we had to play in Standard and not in the other formats.
Right.
All right, so here we go. This is game 2 of the second match of the finals. Now, I don't know if I give anything away here on my face, but I know that I've just won the tournament. 100%. I'll tell you what. Caleb Mulligan. I'll tell you exactly what happens here. I remember this very clearly. Caleb takes a mulligan. I keep. And he knows if I'm keeping 7 with Tron, it's a good hand. So he says under his breath, he talks to himself. He's like, oh, I have to mulligan for Thoughtseize then. He says that under his breath. And I'll tell you the truth. I considered turning my hand face up on the table right now to see if because I wanted to see if he would just give up, because he'd been conceding these games, a little early, which I get because he's probably losing them. But I thought about, if I lay my hand on the table face up, will he just walk away?
Yeah.
And I didn't do it because I thought it would be rude. But man,
it would have been pretty
awesome.
rude. It would have been a good story though.
Yeah,
That's a pretty good story for right now.
Yeah,
I've done that exactly one time in my career. It was on Sunday of an invitational. I was playing in a Legacy Classic, and I was playing Sneak and Show, and my opponent was somebody I knew. They were playing Elf Combo, and my opener, I laughed. I knew what they were playing. I just started laughing, right? And they took a mulligan. They're like, "What's so funny?" And I'm like, "If you beat me this game, I will quit Magic." That's what I said to him. My hand was turn 1 Emrakul with Force backup easily.
Yeah,
Like
that's on par with my hand. My hand right now is natural Tron, I think a chromatic, an Ulamog, and double Ravenous Trap. Double Ravenous Trap and natural Tron. And Caleb doesn't even have a land.
Oh man, how good does that feel? The finals of an event, the last game of an event, and your opponent just says go after mulliganing to 4.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, he could have kept 10 and I would have felt like I was favored.
Yeah.
And it said he's on 4, and it's just, I mean, I think he plays I think he has a Thoughtseize here, and it's just, I mean, it's so harsh. And I would feel a little sympathy, except I want to win this event really bad.
Of course.
So,
I mean, you can still feel sympathy, though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
All right, we got a land and a Thoughtseize. Man, I hate playing against Tron and Dredge, so I'm rooting for you both to lose, honestly.
So, okay, I remember, this is funny. I remembered myself having the 3 Tron lands. That's actually not true. I had 2 of them and then a Sylvan Scrying.
Yeah. So, I mean, it seems like your hand was basically perfect, except the Ulamog was like slightly not perfect, but still good, good enough.
That's interesting to me that you know, thinking I had, you know, sharp recall of exactly what happened in this game, and I wasn't actually not right about that. But yeah, you do see the double Ravenous Traps there. One of which isn't really easy for him to beat unless he has a Thoughtseize, and he can't even Thoughtseize it because he has to take the Ulamog.
Yep.
And yeah, we're just kind of playing things out here.
All right, so you're on the brink of winning.
Yeah.
The 2016 Players Championship. What's going through your head right then?
I mean, it's just like, I mean, this is one of the things where you're so far ahead. The only thing, and I think you can see it. Well, I don't. No spoilers, right? I won't say anything, but I think you can see it when inevitably I win, which I think is actually like 20 seconds from now. There's no celebration at all, because
the first time I ever played Dredge in an event, I lost to Ugin, and I was just like, what the fuck? How can you ever beat that card? None of your stuff has haste. You're working at sorcery speed. Most of your creatures, if they get exiled, you lose.
Yeah, it's so yeah, and so it's like I'm not even thinking about how close I am to winning. I'm thinking, please don't let me find a way to screw this up. I don't know how it could happen, but that's all I'm thinking about is how could I possibly lose from here?
Yeah,
and which is I mean, I think, you know, there's kind of 2 ways that you 2 mindsets. You either you're close to celebrating, or you're just feeling like stress is building up because you're like, please
it's so close.
Don't let me mess this up.
Yeah,
it's so close, and that's definitely the mindset I was in right here.
What do they say? Snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Right. Yeah. We exactly do not want to do that, and it doesn't look like we're gonna. I mean, we're about the ultimate Ugin here, and that's it. It's
I can feel the adrenaline leaving my body right now, right? Like and this is like me living vicariously through 2016 Joe Lossett. Look at that man! Look at that smile!
Yeah, and I'm like,
still got it.
And I know, like, look at me. I'm smiling, but I'm trying not to gloat because Caleb is so upset.
Oh yeah,
he just got squashed 4 games straight.
Yeah.
And and he, you know, he doesn't offer the hand or anything, which is fine. I don't, you know, it doesn't bother me. But I'm trying to contain myself a little bit here. And this was nice, because Jared Silva realizes that Caleb is not offering the hand, so Jared Silva steps in and does it for him.
Wow.
But yeah, this was that was a big moment for me. You see right there that Jared Silva was about to offer the hand there. But yeah, that was I mean, I felt pretty good. I can't lie. I mean, there's definitely been a variety of high points in my career playing Magic. That was probably number 1.
I mean, I made the finals the previous year and lost to Jim, and I gotta say, being in Caleb's spot doesn't feel good. And you can say all you want about, oh, you made X amount of dollars, you know, you tried your best, and it was just like a match that you lost. But like, it was like losing the Super Bowl, you know. It was heartbreaking. And we had even prize split. I prize split the year before, and I'm pretty sure we prize split the top 4 that year. And so we were getting the same amount of physical dollars from the event, but there's such an intangible value to winning a tournament like that, because your name is just plastered on things for a whole year. Coverage is talking about you constantly, and when you're trying to be a content creator, it's so valuable to have that win under your belt. And it's honestly I'm most mad in my career and losing that match to Jim Davis, and it's 100% because I picked a bad modern deck, and I'm fucking angry about it. So
yeah, I get that. I mean, and I know, because like that same year when I made the finals of the Legacy Grand Prix, and I thought I was gonna win. Even game 3, I thought I was gonna win.
Spickle against Spicklemeyer?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and it was not covered. It was not covered, but it was a really sensational match, and I thought I was gonna win. And he killed me in game 3. His like 90% of the lands in his deck are locked up by Back to Basics, and he kills me with a 20 power Trampling Noble Hierarch to win the Grand Prix.
Oh, that's sick.
And it was great for him, but I was so sad.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I know how Caleb feels here, because losing, I mean, anybody that's played in several, you know, big stakes matches is bound to have lost some of them. And yeah, it's definitely, it's great to be on the good side, and it's not so much on the other side, but it's just something you have to live with going in, or coming out of it. But yeah, this was, I mean, I felt a little bit bad for him, because I know he took it rough, but for me, that was really get much better than that.
Yeah. All right, Joe. Well, that's going to wrap it up for Time Shift today. But before we go, please tell us what you're up to.
Well, dude, I see in the chat someone's asking what I'm playing right now. I've actually, the last few weeks, I've been playing Alchemy, which surprises me, because I wasn't really interested in getting into the format, and I've enjoyed it quite a bit.
Cool.
But yeah, as far as Magic goes, I do actually do commentary for the Energy series now. That kind of, you know, randomly ended up with that position. So you know, it's a smallish series that's kind of growing by default, because a lot of the bigger series are you know, tearing things apart right now. So I do commentary for them a couple days a month. I still play Magic. Still.
I saw you streaming again. Are you going to be streaming regularly?
I did. I think I will. I started doing it again a few weeks ago.
People are happy
we're not
about
going
that,
to be back
sure.
to. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to get back to, like, you know, 4 hours a day during the week, like, you know, I was for a few years. We're not getting back to that. But yeah, maybe a couple, you know, 2 or 3 hour streams a week. I think I can do that. And yeah, no, it's nice to get back doing that. It's certainly a change, because like I had a pretty established audience for a while, and that's now gone, because, you know, that's just, you know, you take a few years off, that's what happens. But no, but I still enjoy doing it. It's still fun, and you know, some of the old people still show up, and so, you know, it's a good time. Magic has been, you know, my primary hobby for my adult life, and I don't regret that, really. It's a lot of time's gone into that, and I feel like I've got a lot out of it, and yeah,
all right.
This event was kind of the culmination of that career as a competitive player.
Yeah.
But yeah, but even if I'm not out, you know, competing, you know, on a weekly or monthly basis around the country, around the world, like, I'm not going away from this game. I'll still be around. Well, same for you, I think. It's same for a lot of people. Like, you're still involved. You're still, you know, you're making this happen, and that's just, I think a lot of the diehards are just, playing for stakes is great, but the game is still good.
And that's the thing I always come back to, man. Magic is one of the best games I've ever played, if not the best game I've ever played. And there's so much depth, from deck building to actually playing the games, to just strategizing, metagaming for a tournament. For, you know, the fact that you can change your card or your deck, like, you know, 10 cards between events in the same format, and it's like correct to do so, is
Mhm.
mind-boggling to me. And I don't think there's any other game on the market that's come close to that kind of depth.
Yeah.
You can say all you want about how the doom and gloom about OP and things of that
Yeah.
nature. Star City letting go of all the writers, including me. And like you can look and like say it's in a downward trend, but I think it'll bounce back. I hope it'll bounce back.
I hope it does too. And you're right. I mean, it's like I don't think you could argue that competitive Magic looks better now than it did at any point in the last decade. Like it's definitely, like you said, it's definitely trending downwards. But we can always be hopeful because it is a great game and it certainly provided a lot of meaningful experiences for you and I and
Yeah.
plenty of other people. Well, dude, this was awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no problem. It was a pleasure. Pleasure's all mine. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode of Time Shift. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button at the bottom, and we'll see you soon.